Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll show you the recap of a 2020 thriller film titled Promising Young Women. As always, spoiler alert, watch out and take care. The film begins at a club somewhere in Ohio, where a group of guys are hanging out. They spot a woman named Cassie, who's alone and completely wasted. After the guys talk badly about her, they try to challenge each other to take advantage of her while she's drunk. One of the guys, named Jerry, decides to approach her, under the guise of making sure she's okay. He offers to drop her off on his own taxi ride home, and on the ride, Jerry offers Cassie to come over to his apartment for some drinks before she heads home. She agrees and they both have some drinks on the sofa, but Jerry starts to kiss her. Cassie then says she needs to lie down, so Jerry takes her to a bed and continues to kiss her body while taking off her panties. Cassie, who still seems drunk, can only repeatedly ask him what he's doing. Jerry stops and seems horrified by the fact that Cassie is actually sober. The next morning, Cassie returns home and writes Jerry's name beside a counter in her diary, like she's counting everyone she hooked up with. It turns out that she's living with her parents, Susan and Stanley. They ask her where she was last night, but she lies, saying that she has to do inventory at her workplace. Cassie works in a small cafe as a clerk, but acts apathetically towards the customers and would rather chat about their gloomy life with her one and only friend and co-worker, Gail. Then a man enters the coffee shop who turns out to be Cassie's former classmate during medical school named Ryan. He tries to start a conversation with her, but ends up asking an insensitive question about her dead-end job. He half-jokingly says that she can spit in his coffee to get even, and she actually does. Ryan then asks her out on a date and drinks the coffee that she spit in to prove her devotion, so she decides to give him her phone number. One night, Cassie is pretending to be drunk yet again and is taken home by a guy named Neil, who keeps talking about his sexual novel idea while snorting cocaine. He even tries to make Cassie snort some too, but she acts like she's too drunk to do it properly. She pretends to pass out, but Neil wakes her up aggressively. Then, predictably, Neil starts kissing and caressing Cassie, and when she wants to go home, he tries to persuade her to stay. Finally, she reveals her true sober state, which scares Neil. She calls him out for being yet another jerk who would take advantage of a very drunk woman, just like all the other guys she's tricked before. After giving him a warning to fix his behavior, Cassie leaves and returns home to put Neil's name on her list. In the morning, Cassie is greeted by a gift from her parents, though she forgot that it's her 30th birthday that day. This upsets Susan, who is concerned because Cassie still lives with her parents and has had no life, friends, or boyfriends ever since her childhood friend Nina dropped out of med school. After Stanley diffuses the atmosphere, Cassie opens up the gift, which turns out to be a pink suitcase. Later on, Cassie complains about the gift to Gail, saying that it's a very unsubtle way for her parents to kick her out of the house. Then, Ryan shows up again, saying that Cassie had given him a fake number the other day, yet he is still determined to go on a date with her. Cassie finally agrees to go on a lunch date. She and Ryan go to a restaurant for a meal, where he tells her a bunch of stories from his time as a pediatric surgeon, which makes her laugh. He then asks why Cassie left med school, even though she was one of the best students in their class, but she just throws a vague answer. After the date, Ryan is walking Cassie home, but stops in front of a building and says that it's his apartment. He invites her up for some drinks, which completely changes her demeanor. Though Cassie agrees to go upstairs with him, Ryan realizes his mistake and offers to drive her home instead. She declines and walks away before kicking a trash can, upset at the fact that Ryan is just another jerk trying to take advantage of her. However, the next day, Cassie comes to the clinic where Ryan works to meet him. She tells him that she wants to continue going on dates with him, but she wants him to take it slow. He immediately agrees and seems very happy, even asking her out on another date after his shift is done. They hang out at a coffee shop that night where Gail starts to question Ryan about his work as a pediatric surgeon. She leaves the couple alone to chat, and Ryan asks if Cassie is still in touch with her classmates from med school. She says no and doesn't even recall a woman named Madison who Ryan thought she was very close with. He then starts talking about a name named Al Monroe, which makes Cassie feel very disturbed, though she tries to hide it from Ryan. He goes on to say that Al is about to get married. That night, Cassie sits in the dark while watching a slideshow of her old pictures with Nina. Nina was raped by Al when she was drunk at a party, but nobody believed her and she ended up committing suicide. Cassie then decides to search for Al's profile on social media and finds him posting about his engagement. She sees that one of the commenters is Madison, whom Ryan had mentioned earlier, and decides to contact her. Sometime later, she goes to the restaurant and pours champagne into a glass while pouring herself a similar looking soda. Then Madison arrives for the lunch date and proceeds to get day drunk, thinking that Cassie is just as drunk as she is. Eventually, Cassie starts talking about what happened to Nina, but Madison seems to avoid the topic. Madison implies that it's Nina's fault that nobody believed her accusation against Al because she used to drink a lot and sleep around. Disappointed that Madison hasn't changed her view about the incident, Cassie leaves the very drunk Madison at the table and approaches the guy sitting at the bar. She pays him to take Madison to a hotel room. And the next morning, Madison keeps leaving voicemails for Cassie, asking what happened because she woke up with a guy in a hotel room. After her first bout of revenge, Cassie's next target is the med school's dean. She heads to a local high school and asks a teen girl named Amber for directions to a diner, pretending that she's a makeup artist for a famous boy band. Amber begs to come with Cassie, and she promises not to tell anyone by giving her phone to Cassie, and they ride together to the diner. Later, Cassie visits the med school's dean, Elizabeth, in her office. She pretends that she wants to continue her med school after dropping out because of what happened to Nina. Unfortunately, Elizabeth doesn't remember who Nina is, even though she was the one who received the report back then. After saying that she had to favor Al, Cassie reveals that she has taken Amber, who is Elizabeth's daughter, into a room with the guys who allegedly saw Nina being raped by Al. Elizabeth asks Cassie to tell her where her daughter is, eventually admitting she was wrong to dismiss Nina's report and side with Al. Cassie then admits that Amber is actually at the diner, waiting for her favorite boy band that never shows up. Cassie drives home only to find Ryan waiting for her outside as she has forgotten about their date that day. She apologizes, but Ryan asks if she's okay since she looks a bit off. That night she goes to the club to find the next sleazy guy to freak out on, but on the way out, Ryan sees her with the guy. She tries to explain, but he doesn't want to hear why she ditched her date to go clubbing. The next day, Cassie goes to her next target's house, a former lawyer named Jordan Green. He clearly remembers that he represented Al and intimidated Nina to drop the case, and it seems that he really regrets it. He wants Cassie to hurt him because he can't sleep at night thinking about what he did to Nina. But instead, Cassie forgives him. She leaves his house and decides not to send the hitman that she's ordered for Jordan, instead driving to Nina's house to meet her mother. They reminisce about their past with Nina, but ultimately, Nina's mother urges Cassie to move on for everyone's sake. Cassie then sees a post about Al's upcoming bachelor party at the house before deleting her own account. She also stops by Ryan's apartment to apologize for what happened the other night, though she couldn't explain why she was drunk to pick up guys. She then asks if they can continue dating, but Ryan doesn't think he can. So Cassie leaves and goes on with her mundane daily life. However, when Ryan comes to the coffee shop and asks her to go on another date, she says yes, and they kiss. They continue dating, hanging out with Gail, and even having dinner with Cassie's parents. One day, Cassie comes home to find Madison waiting for her on her porch. She asks Cassie about what happened after she got drunk, and Cassie assures her that the guy only put her to bed and didn't do anything to her. Then, Madison asks to go inside so that she can reveal to Cassie the video of Nina's rape that was sent to her classmates back then. She keeps it in one of her old phones, which she gave to Cassie, and before she leaves, she tells Cassie to never contact her again. Cassie is horrified when she watches the video, but something horrifies her even more. She goes to the clinic to confront Ryan about watching Nina get abused. She shows him the video and says that she'll show it to everyone he knows unless he tells her where Al's bachelor party is. Cassie arrives at the bachelor party dressed as a stripper and starts pouring the men a bunch of drinks, getting them drunk and drugging them. She then wants to go to the bedroom with Al, but he seems reluctant. Cassie says she'll only get paid if she takes him upstairs, so he relents and she ties him up to the bed. When asked her real name, Cassie says her name is Nina, which surprises Al. After revealing her true identity, she goes on a tangent about Nina and how he ruined her life. In the meantime, Cassie is preparing some medical tools. She plans to cut Al, but he breaks one handcuff and pins her to the bed before smothering her to death with a pillow. In the morning, Al's friend Joe finds him and Cassie's body and decides to help him hide the body. The two take her body to the woods and burn her under some logs. A few days later, Cassie's parents report her disappearance, which leads to the detectives questioning Ryan since they knew that he was dating Cassie. Despite knowing something might have happened at the bachelor party, Ryan suggests that Cassie might have harmed herself. Sometime later, at Al's wedding, the police come to arrest him for Cassie's murder. It turns out that Cassie had planned in case something happens to her during the bachelor party. She sent an envelope containing Madison's phone and instructions on what to do if she goes missing. The police find her burnt remains with Nina's half of a friendship necklace, while Cassie's half was sent to Gail. The movie ends with Cassie sending a scheduled message to Ryan, who's at the wedding, saying, "You don't think this was the end, did you? It is now. Enjoy the wedding. Love, Cassie and Nina." Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for even more content just like this. And if you have a movie you'd like us to recap, let us know in the comments. And until next time, take care.